week 4 of Alone at Chilco Lake. We have our second tap out of the season and also got to check in on 5 of our remaining 9 contestants. We covered from day 13 to I believe day 19 or 20, and not exactly sure. So we're roughly 3 weeks in, moving into week 5. We might as well start on Jordon. He was the one who tapped tonight, and probably also got the most screen time out of anyone as well. He's kind of putting the finishing touches on his shelter, and looks like he's just taking on more projects. Like, it almost felt like he was just trying to keep himself busy, and then when he ran out of things, he got thinking about home. He got thinking about the passing of his daughter, and he just had to tap. There's a reason the show is called Alone. That is a major factor in being out there. It's hard, to leave behind the people you love, the things you love, your life, the comforts of home, to go out and put that all behind and go and survive for 100 days. So I understand where Jordon is coming from, and I don't really feel bad about his tap out at all. He accomplished a lot. Probably one of the nicest looking shelters we've ever seen on Alone. There would be a few others that probably compare to it, but it looked like very precision construction. He had like a fully working door that he installed on this episode. He carved out his family initials, JJOA, on his center beam, and just all around looked very good. You just tell, like I said before, he was just looking for things to do. Like when it comes to him building the pipe, like he was just looking for something for himself to do, and building the pipe to smoke some kinnikinnick was what he chose to spend that time on. And as soon as that ended, he starts thinking about his daughter, his family, tells the story about how his daughter was born with a heart defect and ended up passing away before she turned 4. Really feel for him. And he still kept a very positive attitude, a positive demeanor, even though he had such a negative, impactful event in his life. So I enjoyed Jordon's time on the show. I thought he was doing some cool things. He got a fish last week even, but I don't think it was the wrong decision for him to tap out. All right, let's jump over to our second contestant of the week, and let's talk about Theresea. She is, she has one of the most interesting shelters. Absolutely. She's very unique. I don't believe anyone has ever built a pit shelter before, and I'm very, very interested to see how it works. And it's not just that she's building this pit, but the way that she's going about constructing the roof of her shelter seems like it's going to be very solid for her through the weather that could be ahead at Chilco Lake. She's got the nice logs all very tightly stacked together to form the roof. Then she's put bark over as shingles, then patted that all down with pine needles, and it could end up actually giving her a very, very warm shelter. She still has to finish off something for her fireplace, but other than that, it looks like she's pretty set in the shelter department. Now she'll just need to figure out the food department. We even saw her building a bed. Looked like she built like a nice, almost comfortable bed, which probably just makes your life a lot easier while you're out there. She did get a moment of feeling homesick, and we'll have to see if that is something that hinders her moving forward. All right, next up, let's talk about Nate. As interesting as Colter's boat was, I was more intrigued by Nate's pier. I wasn't exactly sure what he was planning when he first started building everything, but it ended up as a kind of cool idea in the end. His problem with fishing was he wasn't able to get out far enough in the water. So his plan is build a pier, lean some logs on it that he can walk out on, and set his trot line out in the water. And he didn't get a huge fish, but he caught a fish, and an a fish so far this season is a big score. What did we see this week? Nate got a fish, Colter got a fish, and that was it. And last week we only saw Jordon catch a fish. So the fish and meat protein seems to be coming in fairly slow. When you add on top of that the contestants aren't even allowed to hunt the squirrels, makes the game a lot harder to come by. The meat, the protein, harder to come by. We saw the pier round one was a total disaster for Nate. You could see right as he started into the water, his pieces of wood started falling off, and he's about 10 feet into the water, nearly naked, and then all his pier is just falling off. Round two did work, did get him a fish, like I said, and also apparently Nate talks to squirrels now. All right, let's move on to Colter. First off, has to be the best boat that we've seen in Alone history. Like, he has himself now a fully functional boat. He put the outriggers on. The boat is stable. He was way out there on the lake. He's fishing for hours, got himself a decent fish, so he knows that this could be something that works for him moving forward. The big bear scare of the week also comes from Colter. We have to basically have a bear every episode, right? Or else this season is not going to live up to its name of Grizzly Mountain. And there he is. He's apparently has this diving board. He's buck naked, jumping into the lake, decides to call it good for the naked swimming, looks across the water, and there's a bear. And so there he is, like I said, buck naked, staring down a bear, fishing out his bear bangers, and the first bear banger didn't even make the bear flinch, and he ended up having to use 3 bear bangers just to scare off that bear. That would be a pretty intense moment, fully clothed, let alone buck naked. I wouldn't feel too secure in that situation if I had been Colter. Another thing I noticed about Colter is all of a sudden he has this like stone house that I don't remember anything about seeing it built. We had the same thing last week with, I believe, Matt, where all of a sudden he just had a shelter. I always find that as one of the interesting points for each of the contestants to kind of see what they're doing for shelter. And it looks like Colter has built himself something fairly unique. Like I said, lots of rock, which we aren't seeing with any of the other contestants this week. But there he is with this beautiful shelter. Another thing, I saw a couple questions and comments about like why aren't these people spending more time going after fish? But we definitely saw with Colter, like he spent the majority of his day on the water to catch that one fish. So at least for him, he is putting that time in to chase after those calories. Lastly, we had Rose. I mean, she showed up like 3/4 of the way through the episode. It felt a little bizarre to me. If we're gonna go that deep into the episode, why even show her at all? Like we could have caught up with her fish basket next week and not even known any different. Really, all that's to be said about Rose was that she was first eating some seaweed and then crafting this fish basket, which really didn't pan out for her. But that's about it for this week. As always, thank you so much for watching. Until next time, we'll see you later.